Would you like to lack nothing in your garden where your crops are perfect and complete? Well, welcome to the Joyful Gardener. Today I want to talk to you about zinnias. Zinnias are so easy to grow, you guys. I have my notes here, just make sure that I don't overlook anything, but they're so pretty and they're easy to grow. They attract beautiful pollinators, and you can see here I'm sitting amongst some. This one's my favorite, which I'll talk to you later. I'll talk about later in the video as well. So stay tuned for some encouragement at the end about this particular zinnia here. Okay, so when to plant your zinnias? You're going to plant your zinnias in the late spring. Now in Florida, I swear we just have two seasons, and I'm born and raised here. But in Florida, you're going to plant them in the late spring. So for us, which is after our last spring frost date. So for us, our last spring frost date is like late February, early March sometime. You're going to want to plant your zinnias in full sun with good air circulation. The air circulation is important, so that way it helps It helps detract or deter disease and pests. These particular ones here, and I'll show you around some, I have, let me back up. I have my zinnias planted nearly at every bed that I have, and I have almost, I think I've got about 17 beds. And I decided to plant them at the end of every bed, really just because I wanted to have a beautiful, colorful garden. If you're one that likes to strategize in colors of how you have your garden look aesthetically, that's one way to do it. I haven't really gotten into that too much, but I just decided to keep it simple for me. I wanted to keep my zinnias at the end of every bed. That would help with the bees, and I could see the butterflies. So if you look around my garden, you'll see that that's my own little strategy. I'm sure later on in life I'll do a better job, but this variety here you can see is a double zinnia. These here, if you can see them, they're more of a single, and they're still growing. This is more of a yellow color. These are pink and bright pink here. I have some orange, I have some fuchsia ones, and when I bought them from Ferry Morris online. I did not go to my local Walmart. I bought them also from Burpee online. There are so many varieties of zinnias, so much so that I had to be like, oh my gosh, I got to stop putting things in the cart. You know what I'm saying? So you can also check out MI Gardener, which I believe is a Michigan gardener company. Their shipping takes a lot longer for me, so I like their price. So their price is good. So that's one of the reasons why I buy from MI Gardener. But if you're looking for quick shipping, I would recommend also Haas. Haas is a seed company, and also they sell gardening tools. They're based out of Georgia, and I buy some things from them. Now, it's my opinion that Haas is a little bit more expensive, but their customer service is excellent, and also you get your seeds rather quickly. So I buy things from Haas, Burpee, and Ferry Morris directly online. I try to stay out of the big box stores. Now, for a zinnia watering schedule, you're going to want to just be consistent. Zinnias don't like super wet roots or feet. So you're going to want to just be consistent and keep that soil real moist, but not over watering. Don't waterlog your zinnias. You're going to want to water your zinnias about 2 to 3 times per week, depending on the heat. If it's super hot, you may need to water twice a day. You're going to also want to keep track, or keep notice rather, of the temperature outside. So if it's super hot in the mornings, maybe just give them some water. If it's super hot in the evenings, maybe give them some water. We, in my zone 10A, I live close somewhat to the mouth of the bay, and so we get a decent breeze here. And while it's hot, we do just water the once a day. I water every night between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Now, I know I'm going to get some comments for that, and that's fine, because this is my garden, you know, and I will learn and grow if I'm doing this incorrectly. And so we water it once a day between 7 and 9 p.m. Now for the pH level for your zinnias, they thrive in a 5.5 to 7.5 soil. So to measure your pH, you can get these little meters. You literally just stick them in your soil and they will immediately tell you what your pH level is. Now, some companies do offer, you can see the bees and things out here, I'm swatting at them. Some companies do test your soil for you. So you could buy a test kit, mail it in, and they'll tell you what your pH level is for your soil. But I like to just, use a little meter and let me know. It'll tell me right away what I'm needing or what I'm lacking for my soil. There is the biggest bug I've never seen in my life out here. Good Lord. This is why I have notes sometimes, because I get very distracted by things. Okay, so zinnias can tolerate a slightly acidic soil or alkaline conditions. They like both, but if you're needing to adjust your soil, like if it's too high or too low, you can just use some lime to adjust it, or sulfur. You don't want to use both, but just an either or thing. A neutral to slightly acidic pH is 6.0 to 7.0. And for optimum growth, just make sure you have a good, well-drained soil. To get started, I used Jungle Growth. I got mine from Lowe's, and yes, it's pricey, but I cannot find anyone to deliver a chip drop to me out here. And I have so many beds that I just made the investment and used Jungle Growth. And Jungle Growth is a good draining soil because it has wood chips within it, and it also has nutrients. So keep in mind, your zinnias will grow great in neutral soil, but also slightly acidic, and then you could adjust it if needed. Now we're going to talk about fertilizing. So to fertilize your zinnias, you can use a balanced fertilizer, like a 20-20-20 or a 10-10-10. You could also use a fertilizer that's high in phosphorus, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. So this is a Jack's fertilizer. I buy this off of Amazon. The Jack's fertilizer has done well for me. This is a 20-20-20, if you can see it. The phosphorus is the middle number. So this is NPK, P for phosphorus. So this would be your balanced fertilizer for your zinnias. You could also use something like a bloom. Now this is very high in phosphorus. You can see here the middle numbers are 5, 50, 17. So this would obviously not be balanced. So NPK, and this is not balanced, but I use this on, I had somebody recommend it rather, and I haven't used it yet, but I will use this, and I bought this for our desert roses because I really love desert roses as well. So I'm going to give this a try. I haven't tried it yet, but you can see the marketing is great because it's got flowers on it. One thing about marketing, just because it looks pretty or it shows something doesn't mean it is. On a side note, if you suffer from migraines, migraine medicine isn't necessarily always the best. What is best is something with the active ingredient that would treat that. So, for example, migraine, like Tylenol migraine or Advil migraine, their active ingredient is actually pretty low if you look on the bottle. If you look at Tylenol arthritis, rather, their active ingredient is rather high. That's just a marketing thing. That's just them being smart to market to us. So don't be fooled or naive. If you see flowers, check the NPK on this. And also, if you have migraines, check the active ingredient. Make sure it's the highest one that there is. So for this one, it's real easy. You just simply use a hose in feeder and put the fertilizer at the end of the hose in feeder, whatever. And you spray it over your flowers. This one I really like, but it's kind of a pain in my butt, to be honest. That's why you see this. This is just my little method for doing things. So this one here feeds at the roots, and you can use this every 5 to 7 days. The way that I do it, again, it's a pain and very time consuming, but it's effective for now. And it also keeps us from spending a bunch of money. But I use this funnel. This is just like a regular kitchen funnel. I use a plastic fork. This is me, y'all. And it's blue inside. So you'll see that this whole container here is full of fertilizer, a balanced 20-20-20 fertilizer. I take a gallon of water or jug and fill it with water. So I keep, if you buy gallon water at Publix or, Walmart, wherever you shop, Winn-Dixie, keep the gallon jugs. I must have 20 of them. It's not the prettiest thing to look at. You know what I'm saying? We got a bunch of jugs stacked around. But I fill them with water after we've used them. I put a tablespoon of this 20-20-20 in there. And I use the funnel to feed the 20-20-20 through. And the reason why I have the fork is because it gets stuck, from the moisture. So I tap it down in there, and I do 20 of them like this, and I have them ready to go. Now, I don't make them too far in advance. Don't do that. You want to probably make them like the day of that you're going to use them. And then that way the fertilizer stays nice and active. So you want to use this for indoor or outdoor plants. You can use this every 7 to 14 days. And you'll just go around and spray it, water it, use it at the roots for this to grow. So this would be great for your zinnias because it's a nice balanced fertilizer. Now I want to talk to you about some mistakes I've made with zinnias. Number one, I didn't know what a zinnia was. Honest to goodness. I started hearing online when I got into gardening how, zinnias are so easy to plant and grow. And I was like, all right, if they're easy, then let's give it a shot. Like, what do I got to lose but a seed, right? So when I planted my zinnias, I didn't give it enough time. So that's mistake number one. I didn't give it enough time to grow. They take a good little bit to get going and then to be, 3-5 feet tall in some cases. So don't give up on your zinnias. Make sure that you give them enough space and time to grow. Just like people. Sometimes people, they need their space. So does a zinnia. So that's one mistake I made, was not giving them enough space and time. The second mistake that I made was that I didn't cut them. So I'm going to go through and kind of cut some of these today. And the reason why is because I want them to grow again. So this is called a cut and come again zinnia or flower. Now, there are flowers that are not a cut and come again flower. It's just the way that they're made. So I like cut and come again flowers because I feel like I get more bang for my buck. And I like prolific, beautiful flowers. So we're going to go through here in just a second. And I'm going to cut some flowers and take you along for that journey. And make sure that you cut your zinnias. The other thing that another mistake that I made when I first started growing zinnias was that I did not buy enough colors. I was just stuck with like just the basic like mixed color pack that either a Fairy Moore's or Burpee offers. And what I learned from that experience was that the purpose of me having flowers was, for the bees and the pollinators in my garden. But what I learned from it was that I wanted them on my table so I could enjoy them. I wanted flowers in my house. And in order to do that, I needed more than just the 2 or 3, deep shades that they come with. So this year I actually bought different colors and types. So I bought dwarf varieties. I'll show you here in just a second. I bought ones that are 3 feet tall in max. I bought some that are 2 feet tall in max. And I did that so that way I could have different heights and colors and depth to the color. Because, fuchsia is fuchsia, but some fuchsias are deeper than others. Some yellows here are more golden yellow versus like a big bird yellow, So I wanted different colors like that. Excuse me, I have an ant on me. I have ants in my garden. I'm trying to work on it. But anyways, so that's the third thing I did wrong, was that I didn't buy enough varieties or colors. And you can definitely go crazy, but, just keep it simple and just learn from my mistakes. Now, the last thing I want to share with you before I get to harvesting and closing out this video with a good message of encouragement to you is I want to share with you how to save these for next time. Now, I don't have a good example today because mine are still doing nice and blooming. But the way to save them is when you cut them, they've got to be, the way to save them is that they've got to be brown already, like basically already kind of dying. And you'll want to make sure that the petals are brown. You'll flip it over the flower underneath, and then you'll begin to peel the petals off. And the seeds are down in there. And then you'll just save them. And the way that you save them is you can just let them air dry out and just store them in a bag, label them. So these would be dwarf. You see they're beautiful white dwarf zinnias, and you will just save them for next time. So that's one of the best ways to save your seed and save your money for sure. So now we're going to talk about how to harvest them. This is the fun part. This is why we do what we do, because it's the fun part of growing things and harvesting them. So you can see here that I have some orange, I think they're called peach, or I think they're actually called peachy zinnias. These are either from Ferrimorse or from Burpee. But my husband loves the color orange. And if you know him, you know that that's very true. We have a lot of things orange in our lives. And then there's a lot of good puns, you know, with the word orange. But anyway, so you'll want to harvest these zinnias once they're full bloom. So you can see this one is definitely full bloom. This one it's probably still kind of working on it. This one over here is clearly not full bloom. So once they're full bloom, you can harvest them. So that's one thing to look for. The other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to do what's called known as the wiggle test. Now, this is a very common test amongst zinnias. And what you do is you're going to wiggle the flower, but you don't want to hold it up here, up top here. You're going to want to hold it further down to see if it really wiggles, because if you hold it down here, it's not going to wiggle, right? You want to hold it a little further, and you want to see how floppy it is, or as someone would say, loosey-goosey. You know, she's had a good night last night. So if she's loosey-goosey, then she's not ready. I mean, ain't that something to preach about? If you're loosey-goosey in anything, you ain't ready for nothing, even in life. But if you're more firm, like, you know, this one, even though it's not full bloom, I'm just trying to give an example. This one's more firm, even though it's smaller. So you could harvest this one. So you can see here, this one here is unfortunately bent over. So I'm going to harvest this one on camera so you can kind of see one of the things. And I also want you to see the color of it and how it's like yellow to orange and how pretty it is. But you're going to want to harvest this ideally between two sets of leaves. That one keeps falling. So the reason why you want to do that is to encourage new growth. Like I mentioned earlier, you want these to continue to grow back. So you would harvest these between two sets of leaves. You're going to want to have them about 18 inches. So I brought my husband's ruler out here. Don't tell him, because I'm not allowed to use his tools in my garden. But, you know, everything that's his is mine. You know what I'm saying? But 18 inches for a vase would be ideal. Now, for me, that's kind of long. You can see I have my vase here. And this vase is about 9 inches tall, which I probably will do maybe 12 or 13 inches versus 18. I don't necessarily need that tall of flowers in my house. This vase was given to me by a dear friend, and shout out to, you know who you are. I won't say it on the internet just in case you don't want your name out there. But this was given to me when my grandparents passed away. They sent me flowers, and I will always cherish this vase. It used to be silver, but the silver fell off, and I just kept it because it's sentimental to me. So shout out to the person that gave this to me. Thank you. So I'm using this vase today to cut my zinnias. And you're going to really want to ideally cut your zinnias in the coolest part of the day. So typically that's in the morning or in the evening, depending on, I guess, where you are. But so you're going to want to cut them in the coolest part of the day. And when you store them, you're going to want to immediately put them in water. Now, I've got room temperature water in here. And the reason why is because if you were to put cold water here or in ice cubes, it would kind of send the zinnia into shock a little bit. And it actually would not be able to absorb the water for the flower. So you're going to want to put room temperature water in your vase. You're going to harvest them with two sets of leaves. It's ideally 18 inches, but like I said, I'm not going to do 18 inches. And then you're going to want to change the water about every 2 days. Now, zinnias are known to be kind of dirty, like the dirty flower, because they turn the water dirty. So you're going to want to change that water every 1 to 2 days to make it fresh. And when you cut them, you're going to want to cut them at an angle, so that way they can absorb that water pretty good. So let's go ahead and get started with that. I'm excited to bring some flowers into our home and make it much more springy looking. Now for foliage, I don't have really any foliage grown yet. So I will actually use rosemary. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I have never eaten rosemary until I grew it. And then once I grew it, I learned I didn't like the flavor of it. Well, it's not so much the flavor, it's more that it's twigs. So now I just keep rosemary in my garden for the purpose of flowers, or just the purpose of um, having it, really, I guess. So I'm going to take a few rosemary sprigs here, and I'm just going to cut them. Now this plant specifically, y'all, has been here for like 2 years. And I mean, goodness. Now rosemary looks pretty in cocktails, so that's something else you could do with them if you wanted to. But I'm just going to take 3 different little heights here and put my flowers in it. You see I had to change out jars or, vases. So since I had to change out my vase, I'm going to go ahead and just cut them to size and just do some different heights here. So I like to put my flower in there and see about how much I need to cut. And I'm not a very detailed or a micro detail person, so I just eyeball it. Like, if you come to my house, you'll just see things hung on the wall. I don't measure anything. So I just stuck my finger down there, see how tall, and I cut it at an angle. And if I like that height, I keep it. And if I don't, I cut it just a tad more. So I like a little bit of depth there, or proportions, you could say. So I'm going to put my smaller ones in here first, because I want them to kind of go up front. But you see how heavy this zinnia is here. So I'm probably going to cut it just a smidge more, so that way it has a little bit more balance. And then this one I'll keep a little higher, since this one isn't as heavy. So I'm going to cut it here, and also cut the leaves off. Pour my room temperature water in here so they get to watering. Well, it's a floppy mess right now. I'm going to go get some marigolds and put in here as well. So I just cut some marigolds here, and let's see if we can get some more foliage. Now, I am not a florist by any shape of the imagination. I just like flowers. And listen, when I decided to do this YouTube journey, I know that I have a lot of, I guess you could say inadequacies about things, things I lack knowledge on. But the best part for me is that this is our home, and I get to do what I want in my house. You get to do what you want in yours. So I don't need things perfect. I just want them done, so to speak. I dropped the rosemary sprig down here I want to keep. But I guess I do need to cut this one a little bit more because it's too floppy. But that definitely filled it out some. And it'll make me happy. And that's what we're going for. And if Mama's happy, everyone's happy. So That's a lot better. Well, maybe not. Maybe if I position it better, give it more of an opportunity to thrive. There you go. So I like this a little bit better. This way, there you go. So this is my harvest for my zinnias and some marigolds, now that I knew that I needed some filler there. But up next, I'm going to share with you something that's been on my heart. I wanted to share something with you that's been on my mind. You know, there are seasons in life that we go through a drought, whether it's financial drought, maybe in your marriage, maybe, you know, you're single and looking and you're on the dating scene and you can't find anyone decent. You know, I've been there. If you're in a season of drought, whatever it is, I want to encourage you today, just keep planting seeds. Plant your seeds of faith, plant your seeds of harvest, and just be prepared. Be prepared. Steady your heart, prepare your heart for that harvest. It's no different than this flower right here. See how beautiful this flower? Oh, I just bent it. I love this zinnia. This is a zinnia. And you can see how doubled it is. It's huge. It's massive. I mean, look at the size of this thing. It's almost the size of my hand. But just like this zinnia here, I planted it. It came in a seed pack. And of course, I'm in the ants. My garden has ants, of course. It came in a seed pack. It was in a drought, if you will. It was stored for a later time. And during a drought, as long as you're planting like in a emotional or spiritual way, as long as you're continuing to plant a slow drip in that soon to be harvest, your reward will be on its way. And so I just wanted to encourage you today, because I've got to get out of the ants, to continue the slow drip, continue to stay in God's word, continue with your positive thinking, continue to put your eyes where you want to go. You steer where you stare. So is your eyes, in this case, my eyes were on a beautiful zinnia. And so I planted this so this would grow. So if you're steering where you stare, you'll get there. Just continue to stay steadfast, continue to count it all joy, and you'll get there. You'll get out of that season of drought. Just know I'm here to encourage you. It will happen. It may be a long season. It may be a short season, but I'm not God. I don't know how long that season will last, but He will rescue you. He hears you. Trust me. Just trust me. And sometimes I need to be reminded. And surround yourself with people who encourage you. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. Surround yourself with people who will pray for you and like they mean it, not this gossip prayer stuff. I just, oh, that makes me so mad. People who you can earnestly trust that they are for you. Surround yourself with those kinds of people, and trust me, your life will forever change. Just know that if you're feeling weary and you're feeling discouraged, just plant the seed. It will grow, and it won't just grow like this one. See? It will grow like this one. See the difference? Continue. Slow drip, stay in God's word, be encouraged, stay steadfast. Don't be weary. God's got this, so you don't have to. So now I'm going to ask you for a favor. Now, I don't really ask much for favors, but I'm learning to do that. If you're like me and you don't like to really ask for help, well, then I hope you can yoke with me or partner with me on this. If you hear the noise in the background, my neighbor is trying to mow their grass. But I need you to please like, comment, share, and subscribe my YouTube channel. I currently have 17 subscribers, and I thank God for that. Some people may, balk at that a little bit, but I think that's awesome. And you know what? When I have 1,000 or 1,000,000, I will still think that's awesome. And it's because I'm grateful for every little drip along the way, So my call to action for you today is to please comment what your favorite zinnia tip is, whether it's a tip for growing, whether it's a tip for fertilizing. What is your favorite zinnia tip that you have found in your area? Now, you may not be in my area of town, but for your own, but go ahead and comment anyways, because we may be able to learn from that. Or if you comment, maybe we'll have an idea from your comment that will help us grow in our garden. You could also maybe comment your favorite variety or your favorite place to buy zinnia seeds. So if you could please comment your favorite variety, maybe share with me your favorite tip, and then also like, share, and subscribe. I really want to do this YouTube channel for many reasons. One, because I want to be able to share my faith. Two, I want to be able to share my garden with people. This is a give back moment for me. I have watched so many people's YouTube channels that have helped me grow, and I want to do the same for others. They have helped me, and I want to help them or help you. And I also would like to buy a second home in the mountains. And to do that, I need a little extra income. And so I'm looking to go maybe viral if possible. That would be fine with me. So if you could please help me out with that and the cause for our family, that would be absolutely a huge blessing. So this is the Joyful Gardener. You know the drill. Let's keep it moving.